Hello guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we're going to be talking about logical operators in JavaScript. So let's get started. Okay, now our first logical operator is going to be AND operator. So if I say console.log and true and true, this will give us true. Okay, and if one of the operands of AND operator is false, this will give us false, as you can see here. Okay, so here the order doesn't matter. So if I swap these values to false and true, this will still give us false. Okay, and of course if both values are false, this will give us false. Okay, so remember, if one of the operands of AND operator is false, this will always give us false. Okay, now let's move on to our next operator, which is OR. Now let's say console.log OR, and we'll say true or true. This will give us true. Okay, and if one of the operands was false here, notice here that we are not getting false, but we are getting true. So here, whenever one of the operands is true, this will always give us true in OR operator. Okay, so, and as we said earlier, order doesn't matter. If I swap these values to false and true, this will still give us true. Okay, and of course if both values are false, this will give us false. Okay, now let's move on to our next operator, which is the not operator. Okay, so if I say console.log and exclamation mark, and here exclamation mark is representing the not operator, and if I say true, so here the not operator will convert any Boolean value into the opposite. So the opposite of true is false, of course, and here, as we can see here, we are getting false. And if I change this to false, this will give us true. Okay, now you need to know that logical operators can also be used with non-Boolean values. So what do I mean by non-Boolean values? I simply mean values other than Booleans. So for example, strings or numbers or arrays, etc. So for example, here let's see an example, and we'll do console.log and for example say cat and dog, and here notice we are getting dog back. Now why is that? Here because the AND operator here will try to evaluate to the first false value it finds, and if it doesn't find any false value, it will simply return the last value. So here dog in our case. So if I change this to dog and cat, dog and cat, this will give us cat. So that's because cat is the last value here, so it doesn't find any false value because these strings are considered to be true values. So whenever it doesn't find any false values, it will simply return the last value, which is cat in our case. Okay, and you need to know that there are some values in JavaScript that are considered to be false value. So let me paste this in here, and these values are 0, null, undefined, not a number, and empty string. So these values are considered to be falsy. Whenever JavaScript sees these values in a Boolean context, it will consider them to be false. Okay, and any other value except for these values will be considered to be true. Okay, so here these strings are considered to be true. Okay, but notice what will happen if I change this into a empty string. So here it gave us empty string back. Okay, and to prove this to you, if I can say 0 here, and it will return 0. And as we said earlier, the order doesn't matter. So if I say here dog, and here let's just say 0, and this is still giving us 0. Okay, so as we said earlier, AND operator will try to evaluate to the first false value. Now let's move on to the OR operator. So let's just say console.log, and as before, cat or dog. And notice here that we're getting cat. So here OR operator is the opposite of AND operator here. So how the OR operator works in this scenario? Here, OR operator will try to evaluate to the first true value, not like AND operator. Here it will try to evaluate to the first true value, and if it doesn't find any true value, it will evaluate to the last value. Okay, so here if I change this to dog and cat, it will return, on the second example, it will return dog here, because dog is the first true value here, and so it will return it. Okay, and it works the opposite way of AND operator. So here if I change this to AND, this would, here in OR operator, it gave us the first operand, but on the second example here, it gave us the last operator here. Okay, because as we said earlier, the OR operator will try to evaluate to the first true value, and but the AND operator will try to evaluate to the first false value. So you need to keep that in mind. And if I change this, for example, to null, for example, this will still give us cat. Okay, and if I change the order, for example, we'll say cat, and here we will say null. This is still giving us the true value. Okay, so that's it for this video. See you in another one.